Good evening, everyone. My name is Desiree King, and I'm the host of the Senior Living 411 series. And today, do I have a good one for you? I've been advertising all week, and today I have Dr. Kelenne Tuitt online with us. Kelenne Tuitt is a board-certified family medicine physician. She hails from the island of Trinidad and Tobago, and she was raised in Brooklyn, New York. Kelenne has a world-class education with a bachelor's degree in biological sciences from Carnegie Mellon University. She also has a master of biomedical sciences and doctor of osteopathic medicine degrees from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. She completed her family medicine residency from Inspira Medical Center in New Jersey. She has been in practice for over 7 years and has taught medical students throughout the years as an associate clinical professor at the Edward Via College of Osteopathic Medicine, America and internationally. Kellenne's passion for helping people has led her to found her own concierge company, which we'll get into a little bit more later. And she also found that her interest in diabetes prevention, chronic illnesses such as hypertension, chronic kidney diseases, and strokes was something that she was passionate about. And she feels that prevention is better than cure, something that we both share the same theory on. So welcome, Kelenne. And I'd like you to tell me, I always ask everyone this question, what is your story? What's your path towards becoming a doctor?
Well, thank you so much for having me this evening on your platform. It's a pleasure to be here to share some knowledge and some wisdom and some insight, because I truly do believe that prevention is better than cure. Many times we're reactive in terms of our health, and my goal is to educate and inform patients and give them the power to take back control of their health so that they can have generational wealth. And so I started my experience, I guess I would go back to high school. So when I was in high school and you're thinking about, okay, what do you want to do for a living? Well, I always wanted to be a dancer. And my mother was like, you can be a dancing doctor. And I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't know anything about doctors. I never had a doctor in my family. All I knew is when I went to the doctor, they were giving me a shot and I did not like shots. And so, but I had a couple girlfriends of mine, and when we were talking about careers, they both wanted to be doctors as well. And so they were pretty smart, and I only hang around smart people. So I was like, okay, maybe my mom knows what she's talking about. So let's pursue this. But my true passion for this didn't come until I did a medical mission trip to the Dominican Republic. That was before I went into medical school, and I did about 3 weeks there with the Student National Medical Association, and that's where I got to see all kinds of different diseases, skin rashes, and the language barrier, even though that was there, was very apparent that these people needed a lot of help, and that's where my passion for this grew. And so went to college, did pre-medical degree. The first time I applied, I didn't get in. And I had to go back because in college, I had a lot of interests, and I was a jack of all trades. And also I worked a lot. I had 3 jobs while I was in college. So I was a B student, but I had a lot of culture and experience and going on. So I went and did a post-bac program, and that's where I got my master's, and then I reapplied and I got in. And so from then on, I decided to go into family medicine. Initially, I wanted to do surgery. But when I did my surgical rotation, I said, I'm going to treat this as if I'm the surgeon. I was there from 5 in the morning until about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And at that time, I had my son during my 3rd year of medical school, and I never saw him. I only saw him when he was sleeping. And that's when I had a wake-up call, and I said, you know what? I need something that's a little more conducive to my lifestyle.
More flexibility, yeah.
So I ended up going into family medicine, and I haven't turned back.
Wow, an amazing story. And you're originally from Trinidad, is that correct?
Yeah. So I was born in Trinidad. I grew up there until I was 5, and then I moved to the concrete jungle in Brooklyn, New York.
Like the name, concrete jungle, okay.
Yeah, I went to school in Manhattan, and then I ventured out to Pennsylvania, where I went to college in Pittsburgh, and then came back closer to home in Philly, did medical school, and then New Jersey for residency. And then after residency, I decided to move down south because I was tired of the cold in the winter, didn't want any more snow, and I've been down here for about 6 years now.
Wow, amazing, amazing story. Now, just so that our viewers know, what exactly is osteopathic medicine?
So osteopathic medicine, or osteopathic physicians, we practice and learn everything the same that an MD does, and that's a medical doctor.
Okay.
But osteopathic medicine, we learn extra training and techniques in terms of how to use our hands to heal the body.
Okay.
And so we know how to manipulate and do a lot of musculoskeletal techniques to help really alleviate pain, whether that's in the back, whether you have swelling in the legs, whether you have asthma and COPD, we can actually use our hands to help the body heal itself. Wow. And so we don't like to be called chiropractors because we do a lot more than what chiropractic medicine does, but that's probably the easiest way for people who have never experienced the techniques that we do to compare us between like a mixture of massage therapy and chiropractic medicine, because we can help the body heal itself.
Right. So your approach is more natural then, is what I'm getting from you.
Yeah. So a lot of osteopathic medicines, you wouldn't know that they're a DO because they practice just like an MD and they don't actually use your techniques because it is time consuming. And so there are some of us that strictly practice OMT, osteopathic manipulative therapies, and then some of us incorporate it into our practices.
Okay, wow. Okay, so that's a lot of knowledge right there. Again, if you're just joining, we're talking to Dr. Kelenne V. Tuitt. She's a board certified family medicine practitioner, and she's also the author of Irie, which we're going to get into in a moment. So Kelenne, what motivates you? You've accomplished a lot. I can tell you're still pretty young. So I think you probably went through all of these degrees straight. What motivates you to keep on pushing forward?
Well, I would like to read a small little excerpt from the beginning of my book, which will tell you the reason why I'm motivated. Okay. And so it's in my intro. 1 second.
I think I probably included it in one of my questions, and you're going to say it now because I know a couple of things in your insert caught my attention.
Yes. And so, all right. So, to my Caribbean family, this book is for anyone born in the Caribbean, of Caribbean descent, or who just loves Caribbean food and culture. We as people are full of life, energy, spontaneity, creativity, and love. We can make something beautiful from nothing. As a community, I want us to not only survive, but thrive. Being our best, challenging ourselves to reach higher levels, and never giving up are our strong points. However, to take on such a great task, we, my fellow brethren and sistren, need to prioritize our health. Your health is your wealth. Yeah. Success can only come from performing at your best. And to be your best, you should make time to take care of yourself. And this book is here to show you that with simple lifestyle adjustments, you don't need to make time. So when I wrote this book, at that time, my uncle was in a nursing home and he did not need to be there. He is someone who was the life of the party. He was someone who was an educator. He went to Juilliard and learned how to play the piano. Wow. He was a teacher. He was a computer programmer. He was the matriarch of our family once my grandparents died. And he was a comedian at that too. And so for me to interact with him, and every time I saw him, his blood pressure was high. And every time I asked him, are you taking your medicines? Did you stop smoking yet? He didn't do those things. And unfortunately, he ended up with a disorder called vascular dementia, which is preventable. It comes from having multiple strokes and having high blood pressure that's uncontrolled. And so it kind of hit me as I was writing this book. I was talking about simple things that he could have done for himself that could have prevented him from getting to the point where he ended up in a nursing home.
Right. And would you attribute much of the things that he failed to do or could have done to part of it being to his diet?
Yeah, he actually ate a pretty healthy diet because he's from the Caribbean. He knows how to cook all these different foods, but you know, we're a little heavy-handed with the salt and the sugar and the oil. And then I think for him was more so the smoking,
Mm,
which are your extracurricular lifestyle activities that you do. But
mm,
I definitely believe certain little changes in his life could have prolonged his life.
definitely, definitely. So, segueing into the book, I know you mentioned salt, oil, things that make our food taste good. Like sometimes you just see the oil skimming on the pot and you just want that part of it. So, being
That
Caribbean, we have, right, we have a great diet, but it can tend to be unhealthy. And you also touched on, I know in your book you touched on as well, the portions that we get. Our parents teach us how to eat. And the
Yeah.
portions that we get, you're always told, finish your food. Well, if that goes in line with our being heavy handed, then that's where I think a problem arises. So, can you touch on those two things, what is in our food and the portions that we have?
Yes. So let's talk about what's in our food. So a lot of times we like our food to taste good. We know how to season some food. That's why they say Trini can cook, right? So
Yes.
and that goes for all the Caribbean. You go to Jamaica, that's the first thing you're looking for, some good food. But because we know how to season, we don't need to add so much salt to our food. We
Mm-hmm.
can actually use more of those herbs and spices that can actually give you the taste of salt without all the consequences of what salt can do to your body. Now,
Right.
yes, we do need a small portion of salt or sodium chloride, because it helps with our chemical balance in our body in terms of our cellular health.
Mm-hmm.
But having too much salt can actually lead you to hypertension, which leads to strokes and heart attacks, which are some of the leading causes of disease in the Caribbean community.
Right.
Um, Even when we bake Christmas time, I think of Christmas time and we like black cake, we have kurma, you have all your different pastries, your
Yep.
breads and everything, and we add a lot of
Yep.
sugar, sweet bread, you
Yeah.
get the sugar in your foods when you could actually use more natural fruits and
Mm,
marmalades and things of that nature that your body can break down better,
right.
instead of actually using brown sugar or white sugar to kind of
Mm,
make foods. And so it's just a matter of tweaking it a little bit. It may not
mm,
taste the same, but it's healthier for you. And
yes.
it only takes about a week for your taste buds to change, where you realize,
Mhm.
you know what, I don't need all of this extra
Anyway. Yeah.
condiments in our food.
Yeah. No, and even I know, I remember my grandmother used to use cooking, which is a very, very salty type of butter. And then who knows whatever other salts and stuff went into the food. So definitely I can agree on the salt or even the sugar, because we often use sugar to brown our meat, right?
Yes,
So it's still sugar that's going into the
exactly.
food, right?
Yeah.
So what, I mean, if someone is getting older,
Mhm.
they enjoy their Caribbean food. I know from my mother-in-law, she takes smaller portions. So would you say as you get older, then, ease up on the oil, ease up on the salt, and take smaller portions, although you like it?
Yes, so as you get older, naturally your appetite goes down. And
Mhm.
so typically you will eat smaller portions. But I advise everybody, even from little kids, that notion that, oh, you have to finish everything on your plate, you don't want to waste food.
Yeah.
If you put that into your child's head and that's how they grow up, when they get older, they're
Mhm.
not going to know how to cut back on their portions.
Yeah.
And so even with my son, if he doesn't eat all his food, I just tell him he has to eat it later. I'm not going to force him and make him eat everything right then and there, because it's not natural for our body to do that. Our body tells us when we're full, and you
Hmm.
have to listen to those signals.
Hmm.
Um, so I would definitely say eat smaller portions. And if you're heavy-handed in terms of scooping out your rice and your
Yeah.
meat, then eat on a smaller plate, because
Yes.
you'll end up stacking it up higher. You can't stack it up
Yeah.
higher, but yeah, eat
Exactly.
smaller portions. Then yeah, so some tips in terms of how to make your foods healthier. So I would recommend not frying foods, but
Hmm.
actually baking,
Yes.
grilling, sauteing. Um, and when you're grilling food specifically, you have to be careful with the temperature of the foods,
Oh,
because
really?
the higher the temperature, what happens is, say you have a piece of steak or beef or some kind of fish on the grill,
Hmm.
and you don't have foil on it. So what happens is that fat drops down into the coal and
Mm.
releases chemicals that are carcinogens
Oh,
that can
really?
actually increase your risk of developing cancer. And there's been studies around that.
Wow.
So
Okay.
to eliminate that, they say put some foil on the grill, poke holes in it, and then grill your foods, but try to keep the temperature lower. So you grill at
Okay.
the lower and a longer lower temperature, longer time frame to
Right.
reduce the risk of developing those carcinogens.
Wow. That's
Um,
a good gem right there. Make
yeah,
sure you cook it on the foil and not
yeah.
directly on the grill.
Yeah,
And what else
or
do you?
put it in the oven and bake
Yes.
it on a higher temperature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you're frying, if you have to fry, use olive oil,
Mm-hmm.
avocado oil, or palm oil. You don't want to use soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, or sesame oil, because when those things are heated up very high, they
Mm-hmm.
actually also release chemical carcinogen
Oh.
into the food, and now you're ingesting that.
Into
And
what about grapeseed oil? I know
grapeseed,
grapeseed oil takes heat really well, doesn't it?
it does, and that's a good one. But usually you sprinkle that on your salads when
Yeah.
you deep
Yes,
fry
really
it.
heat it up. Yeah.
And then there's this great invention called the what is it? The fryer, the deep fryer,
The
I forgot.
oilless fryer.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
just put like a teaspoon of oil and your food comes
Yeah.
crispy. That's another way to
Okay.
reduce the amount of oil that you're using. And then there's like oven baked chicken. So you use
Mm-hmm.
breadcrumbs
Mm-hmm.
and to bake your food, and it makes your food taste crispy without all that excess oil. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
someone that suffers with high cholesterol,
Right.
you want to consider these alternative options.
Wow. I know we have a question from someone who's watching. Janice Gordon wants to know, how do we read and understand the labels on products? So I know I was taught like whatever is mentioned first is what the most of, there's the most of that in it, and then it goes down in that order. Is that true, or is there?
Yeah, so reading labels is like a whole science in and of itself. But
Yeah.
so there are several different I would say it depends on the patient. So if you're diabetic, you're looking at your carbohydrates. If you have high cholesterol, you're looking at the amount of fats in the food.
Right.
Um, you want to look at the nutritional content for the vitamin A, C, E, all those different things.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to eat within whatever is good for you. So it's hard for me to tell you what is good for you because it's
Mm-hmm.
based on your chemical makeup and your medical conditions.
Right.
But obviously you want to eat things that are lower in calories. So
Mm-hmm.
if you read a label and it says one portion is quarter of a cup of this, but you're eating the whole, say a bag of potato chips, right?
Right.
It says, oh, only eat 8 chips, but you eat the whole bag.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to look at the portions too and what calorie intake it is for that portion. So that's
Right.
where I would start. That's the simplest way if you're trying to measure out everything so that you can
Okay.
control your calorie intake. But I would definitely work with a nutritionist for that.
To figure that. So
Yeah.
even I know when you have like when I have my seasonings and I'm seasoning my food, I don't like a lot of salt, so I tend to look at the ones that don't have salt in them, because if you're putting in all these different ingredients, although it may say, jerk rub and this kind of seasoning, and there's always salt listed number one.
Yes.
So I think that's where, and then the food has its own stuff, whatever you're cooking up in it. So I think it's watching what's listed in the ingredients as well.
Yes, always look at the ingredient content. So the
Yeah.
first thing that is mentioned is what it carries the heaviest weight in that
Yeah.
ingredient.
Yeah.
So that's why when we're talking about seasoning foods, you
Mm-hmm.
can use rosemary, you can use thyme, parsley,
Yeah.
cilantro oil, lime juice. All those things can hits the salt taste buds on your tongue.
Right.
So you don't actually have to eat the salt to get that same sensation.
Exactly. I have Deborah Clerk asking us, what about coconut oil? Is that good to cook with as well?
Yes, so coconut oil is great in one sense, but bad in another sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the bad side of coconut oil is that it has a lot of fats in it, but it actually has good fats. It has medium chain fatty acids, which your body can break down better. It actually helps you to lose some weight. It can actually make you feel fuller longer, but you don't want to use too much of it. So the saying is, too much of a good thing is bad.
Yes.
So, and then with coconut oil too, you don't want to heat it up too high. Like if you're frying foods, that if it's too high, it can release those carcinogens as well.
Right.
So you want to just use a small portion of that.
So the key thing with the oils then is to not heat them too high because of the carcinogens that are coming out of them.
Yes.
Okay. So another valuable tip that we're hearing here. Again, if you're just joining, we're talking today on the Senior Living 411 to Dr. Kelenne Tuitt. Kelenne is a board-certified family medicine physician and author of Be Irie. Now, I was skimming through the book, and I saw a lot of the things we eat, we don't even realize the health benefits to it. They say nature has all the cures, and that is so true. So I was looking, key things I looked at was like turmeric. It can be used topically to treat acne and make your skin look younger. I thought that was, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so turmeric is actually the basis of curcumin, which is what makes our curries. So
Curry,
we
exactly.
with it a lot. And
Yeah.
it has anti-inflammatory benefits, so it helps with joint pain. So a lot of times for my patients, I will tell them take a pill of curcumin instead of taking ibuprofen because it works the same, but it's more natural.
Okay, see, so I think a lot of the things too in the Caribbean diet, at one point, North American society didn't realize how good it was for us, and now they're more trending. Take, for example, like coconut water. I mean, we grew up in the Caribbean drinking coconut water straight out of the coconut, and then eating the jelly. And only up until I think probably about 5 years now have all these brands, Vita Coco and Grace has always been in it, but all these different brands have come up one. And there's a real coconut water trend happening. I know so one of the benefits is that it gives you energy, so it's better than Gatorade.
Yes.
What else are some of the benefits of coconut water?
So it has a lot of, especially natural coconut water, it has a lot of minerals in it that can help with cramping. It has potassium in it. So if you have someone that has muscle fatigue after they're running or jogging, they can use some coconut water. It's very hydrating. And actually, the reason why you find a lot of coconut in the Caribbean or in tropical climates is because the way our cells are built. So in tropical climates, it's hot. And so you dehydrate it very easily. And so your cells have something called phospholipid membranes. And the more coconut you drink, it actually helps to support that membrane so you can retain the hydration and you can get dehydrated as much. So that's why it's very hydrating. It's one of the superfoods essentially that you should have in your diet.
What I tell people also when it comes to coconut water, because I love coconut water, is also with coconut water, be aware of the sugar content. When you're buying coconut water, check it and see that it's just coconut water.
Yeah, most of the times the ones you buy, they add sugar to it. So
yeah,
I always say just get the real natural coconut water. A lot of times, like your Caribbean food stores, they'll have natural coconut water that they prepackaged. So
exactly. Now, Kelenne, you've written this book, and as I was going through it, it has a lot of different fundamental health tips. Do you possibly see a cookbook in your future where you can actually give people some modified Caribbean recipes using some of this advice and sharing it with us?
So it's funny you ask that because I did create one, but I didn't like it. So the one I created at first, it gives you all the traditional recipes, but designed that you're eating is specifically for calories. So it helps you to lose weight while you're eating the foods you love. Because some people, it's hard for them to cut things out. Like, I'm not giving up my oxtail and my peas and rice. You can keep that. So I showed them how to portion control while still eating the foods that they love. And I haven't decided if I'm going to release it because I still felt like it was too greasy. It's not promoting the things I believe in. So it may come out in the future, in the near future, to go along with the book that I have.
And there's also the ability to indulge yourself once in a while, treat yourself and enjoy it.
I love all my bacon, saltfish, so, but I'm not going to eat it all the time.
Exactly. And I think that is really the key thing. This is not just advice for seniors, it's for anybody. You can enjoy your food, but it's all about portion control and having self-control while doing so. Kelenne, just to touch a little bit, I know you're a very busy person. I know you also have a family concierge business. With the new world that we live in with the coronavirus, I think that is quite timely. Is it something you started prior to this whole pandemic? And where do you see the future of telemedicine going? You want to just give us a comment on that?
I've started my concierge medicine practice combined with telemedicine about a year ago. And so my practice was designed to help busy professionals on the go. A lot of times, whether you're someone who's a high level executive or a single mom who has 3 and 4 kids, and you
Right.
just don't have time to sit in a doctor's office for 2 hours, I created this platform where I can talk to you on the computer screen like we're doing right now, and we can discuss your medical conditions. And most things you can do online, not everything, it has its own limitations.
Okay.
I can do a physical examination based on certain things. With the assistance of someone in the house, they can feel your stomach and I can guide them as to what they're feeling for. So there's a lot of benefit to telemedicine, especially when this pandemic came about. Many people are afraid to leave their house and go to the doctor. They think they're going to catch coronavirus being at the doctor's office. And so it's very timely that I already had my practice up and running during the pandemic. Also, for me, the other thing is I wanted to meet patients where they are in their environment. So I have a house call component to my practice. So I will go and visit you in your home and care for you. And at that time, I can also look and see, do you have a lot of condiments in your fridge that you shouldn't have that contributes to your diabetes? And help you make some lifestyle changes there. So that is kind of the basis of where my practice came from. I wanted to be able to meet patients where they are and help them make some changes along the way and still be able to communicate that with them virtually if needed. Say they're traveling and they needed help or assistance, I would be there to assist them.
I have someone here asking about jerk seasoning. Is it good? Should we lighten up on it? I love my peppers, so jerk seasoning.
So you got to look at the salt content again. So a lot of them, salt is the #1 component. So you can actually make your own pepper sauce or jerk seasoning without all the extra salt. Scotch bonnet pepper is actually really good. It's capsaicin. It's used in a lot of wound care. You just have to be careful if you have acid reflux, it can actually trigger that. So you can eat jerk chicken once in a while. You don't want to eat it every day. So if you want to do it once a month, that's fine. Just watch the salt content, maybe dilute it out a little bit and mix it with some other healthy herbs and seasonings.
Okay. Are there any disadvantages to too much pepper?
So acid reflux is one of them. Acid reflux can actually lead to ulcers, and ulcers can start to bleed. And so if you ever see black stool or bright red blood in your stool, it could be related to your diet. So you want to reassess that. It can actually, and if you don't treat ulcers or don't treat your acid reflux, that can actually turn into cancer later on in life.
Wow. So definitely you have to monitor your usage, everything in moderation.
In moderation, yes.
Okay. So Kelenne, what's next for you? You have this concierge business, you have the book. I'm still pushing for the cookbook. What's next in your horizon? What's next for you?
So right now I do a lot of health coaching online. So regardless of where you are, I do some health coaching in terms of helping you modify your diet, incorporate exercises. I work with a lot of single moms because my platform is Your Health is Your Wealth. So helping moms develop their own brand and their own businesses while staying healthy at the same time. And then just trying to do what it is that I love to do full time, because I love educating patients and getting right now my concierge practice is more part-time than full-time, but hopefully that will be full-time soon.
Okay. And, thank you for joining us today. We've had a lot of good questions coming in, and there's so much more we can talk about on food. Food is such a big topic. I just wanted to do a little bit of skimming on the topics we covered. Kelenne, your book I know is available on Amazon, either on a Kindle copy or hard copy they can order as well, and also at beiriebook.com. I believe it's being typed into the subject line on Facebook Live. So Amazon and online at beiriebook.com. Kelenne, there's one other thing I noticed. There was a quote you had in your book. It said, "Think like a queen is not afraid to fail. Failure is another stepping stone to greatness," by Oprah Winfrey. How would you say you've applied this? Well, you've shown us how you applied this to your life because you took us through this journey. And what would your advice be to other young girls, especially women of color, who see themselves wanting to go into medicine, or they're maybe being pushed by their parents or coerced or encouraged by their parents to do this, like I do with my daughter. It's a gentle encouragement. But what would you say to them when your mother says, no, you know, dancing you can do for fun, let's do this? In retrospect, what would you say?
I would tell a young person that has other interests outside of what they're being encouraged to do, is to pursue both. Don't feel like you have to be in one box. So if you're thinking about medicine, all you're going to do is pre-medicine and just volunteer in a doctor's office and do shadowing and read medical journals. Everybody's multifaceted, and that's what makes you unique. And so when you're applying to medical school, everybody checks off all the boxes. They have the grades, they have the extracurricular activities, they have the volunteering, but what makes you unique? And so if you are interested in dancing, go ahead, take some dancing courses, go ahead and perform, enjoy life. There's so much to life that you don't want to let it pass you by. When you get on this journey to medical school, it's a 10-year or longer journey. And so yes, there's a lot of sacrifice. You're going to lose your 20s, but you want to hold on to something that makes you happy along the way, because that's what's going to keep pushing you forward.
Right. And are you happy with what you're doing?
Oh, I love what I'm doing. I love my patient. The best part of my job is when I have a patient that comes into my office initially sick. They're ignorant per se, meaning they don't understand what's going on with their health, what it is that they're doing to themselves that's impacting them. And I'm able to sit down and have a frank conversation with them. And then 3 to 4 months later, they come back, lost some weight, their cholesterol's down, their blood pressure's down. I'm able to take you off of medicine. That's the highlight of my career. And so that is the part that I love. And when my patient says, thank you, you've changed my life, that's what I'm in this for. So. Okay.
So one last question. I'm going to put you in a spot kind of. In 10 words or less, tell me how to deal with the Caribbean diet. Like what are the do's and don'ts? 10 words or less.
Eat in small portions. Don't be afraid to try something different. I think that's a
little bit 11, but it's okay. Because a lot of times as Caribbeans, that's all we want to eat. But yeah, definitely explore, expand your horizons.
That's the thing, like in the Caribbean, we make something from nothing and we explore with different spices and herbs. Try cooking without salt for once and see how the food tastes. You never know until you try it. There was a commercial in Trinidad that used to say, try it, you go like it. And so all you have to do is try it. You might like it.
You might like it, exactly. And as you say, your health is your wealth. That's also one of my catchphrases. Without your health, you have nothing. So it's something that you definitely have to pay for. People, once again, today we have Dr. Kelenne V. Tuitt on the phone with us. Richard, my friend Richard is saying no roti. Roti is good. Let's touch on roti really quick because roti is a big one.
Have all the flour that goes with the roti. You can eat a naked roti.
Naked roti.
A naked roti. You just eat the chana, the meat, the pepper sauce, and just don't have the dough.
Wow.
No butter shot, no paratha, and just eat it naked. And add more bodhi. Some people add bodhi and vegetables. Or have vegetable roti. You can do that. Or just eat half of it, don't eat the whole thing, and then save the second half for later or for lunch the next day. So you can still have it, just in portion control.
In retrospect, because it's not about don't have it. This is part of you. And I like as well how you said in the beginning, it's for a guide of well-being, caring to people who live in the Caribbean, of Caribbean descent, who just love Caribbean culture. Because there are people who just love our spices, love our foods. So they, in the middle of loving it, they have to be aware.
The thing is, we eat very healthy. We just add a little too much oil and a little too much salt. If you cut back, you would do great. We eat a lot of vegetables. We have gardens in our backyard. And we go pick our own fruits. So it's not that we're not healthy people. We just have to tweak it a little bit.
Tweak. You know, what's interesting, just we're going on a little bit over here, but growing up, I never really had salad. Like how we have salad here in North America. So the salad with the raw tomatoes and is that changing in the Caribbean, or how come we don't have salad? Like, what's?
I think it depends on the household, because I know a lot of people will make like a mango salad. We do chow.
Yes, you're
So,
right.
yeah, so we do have it, and it depends on which island you go to.
Right.
Or we coleslaw, but we add a lot of sugar to our coleslaw. So
There we
we just
go.
do it a little differently.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So definitely we have all these good foods. If you haven't had any Caribbean food yet, then you know what, message me. If you're in the States and if you're in New York or South Carolina, message Kelenne at Dr. Kelenne on Facebook, and we can share some good places for you too, I am sure. So with that being said, thank you for coming, Kelenne. Thank you everyone for coming on the show. As you know, Senior Living 411, what we do is home safety inspections for seniors. When you speak about safety, we look at your health, we look at your surroundings, your environment, and we look at also your exercise. There's really three components to keeping you balanced and your stability there. Join us on August the 2nd, Sunday, August the 2nd at 7 p.m. when we have the 411 on Are You Prepared for Retirement? I have my special guest, Joshua Bacchus. He will be joining me to discuss what does retirement preparation look for in the different ages and stages of retirement, because things can change suddenly. You require more care. How do we afford all this? How do we plan for it? People are living longer. So thank you everyone for coming, and join us next Sunday, August the 2nd on the Senior Living 411 series. Have a great day. And Kelenne, say bye to everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me, Desiree. I appreciate the platform. Certainly, please check out the book. It's called Be Irie, A Caribbean Handbook to Develop Healthy Habits. You can get an autographed copy at beiriebook.com. And also, you can reach out to me on all social media at Dr. Kelenne. That's DrKelenne. And if you want to talk about your nutrition and your health, you can definitely set up a consult. Just go to my website and all the information's there. That's www.drkelenne.com.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.
Have a safe weekend.